happen?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me about, well, first off, I guess, what was the curriculum that they wanted to review?
They wanted to review the middle school second step resources that was used as part of our social emotional learning curriculum.
Okay. And can you tell me about that meeting between you, Gwen Keller, and Art Binhack?
Sure. So Gwen had reached out. It was the beginning of the year. I want to say probably September, maybe October, maybe earlier. Just as a parent, she had wanted to review 8th grade curricular materials. At the time, her daughter was in 8th grade, and she had some concerns, and she had shared with me a link. I think the link went to like a Facebook video or something. I don't remember the exact location of the link, but she had seen a video online about like another person who was, I think they were speaking to its board about the curriculum and concerns they had about content that was in the curriculum. And the material had originated out of you. I do remember that as like part of the name of the video. And so she had reached out because she was concerned that that was included and she wanted to review the curriculum. So we weren't able to meet like that day, but I'm pretty sure we met within a week or whatever. And she came in, she met with Mrs. Ward and myself. Mrs. Ward was the counselor, and so she was the person that would provide instruction and in the SEL curriculum at the time. And she came, she brought Art with her. I wasn't aware at the time that he was coming, but he came, so, you know, the more the merrier, whatever, sit down and join. And so if it was a digital curriculum, so that was convenient, at least for the sake that I had a big screen in the room, and we just pulled up the materials and went lesson by lesson, document by document, video by video, reviewed all of the 8th grade. Then when we were through with 8th grade, I think we went to 6th grade because I think because there's someone in 6th grade at the time, so she was curious. I think we ended up possibly viewing 6, 7, 8, the whole middle school, but it was like a page by page review of everything. So it was a couple hours probably.
Did she bring up any concerns with the depiction of certain students in that curriculum?
She did. She asked a lot of questions. Questions about like why that curriculum was chosen, why, like what I was helping her understand, just like the process of curriculum and things like that. She was very concerned because it kept coming up, just that she felt the pictures of students on the page, well, not pages, but on the screen, did not represent Raymond students, and so she was concerned that the school district hadn't sought a resource that was more reflective of the students in the classrooms at Raymond.
I interject right here. What do you think she meant by like not reflective of the students at Raymond?
Objection calls for speculation.
Did she tell you what she meant by that?
Well, I asked her what she meant by it, because a lot of it's just pictures of like teenagers in classrooms and things, and she just she explained that when she looked at those students, she didn't see the same kind of students that she saw in Raymond classrooms.
And describe the students that she was pointing out to you.
They were run-of-the-mill, like teenager, middle school age, boys, girls, different ethnicities, different hairstyles, different clothes. I mean, just a wide variety. I wouldn't say there was predominantly any specific stereotype that stood out or anything.
Did she have a particular issue with the students in a flannel shirt?
Objection, leading, and speculation.
No, I don't think either of those objections apply, actually.
So I'd like a ruling on that.
Are you viewing this witness as adverse?
Not at all, no.
Okay.
I guess I could rephrase the question slightly, but I'm asking if Gwen Keller points out one of the students she was talking about wearing a flannel shirt.
I don't have an objection. That's a different question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can answer that?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I don't want to break any laws here. There was a student that that she stopped and made note about. The student was wearing a flannel shirt, had like a really, I wouldn't say quite like a pixie haircut, but like a shorter haircut, and was a female student that had given like the way the curriculum is, like sometimes you see like kids in groups and sometimes it's like one kid talking about something, and this kid was solo in the clip that she was in. Gwen did stop and wanted to talk about that student and why that student she felt was dressed like a boy.
Okay. Did she? Was there another student she pointed out that was a boy student who had makeup on or a voice change?
I'm trying to think here. I think there was. I personally don't remember any boys wearing makeup, so I can't say for certain. There were a few students though, just like along the way that she stopped and made. I mean, she was very detail oriented, so she was looking at every single thing on every page.
Okay. So, with that meeting, is there anything else that you think is important to discuss about it? With that meeting between you, Art Binhack, and Gwen Keller?
I'm gonna object, that's overly broad. Also could call for irrelevant information. I mean, she doesn't know what the issues are in this case.
You're aware this is a discrimination case, correct?
Me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's
Not against you,
pretty
of
obvious
course.
in the title. Yeah.
So, I mean, is there anything in that meeting that came up that made you concerned that there was any kind of discriminatory agenda that Ms. Keller or Mr. Binhack had?
I'm gonna object, that calls for speculation. This is an employment discrimination case,
Overruled.
this isn't about curriculum.
It's overruled.
Okay,
What does that mean? Should I answer? No.
you can answer.
You can answer yes.
Sorry. Gosh, I guess my big takeaway from that meeting was one, frustration, because we went there to look for something that we didn't find. And so, which is fine, like not keeping a secret, we had used that curriculum for years, so it wasn't anything new. And it seemed like, even though there wasn't what we were looking for, there was almost like a preoccupation with trying to find us something. And sometimes I felt like the questioning was sort of accusatory, like I was trying to hide something. I presented everything I had. I didn't have anything else. And so it's just frustrating when trying to ground in what we're doing in our school with our students, and there's noise in the outside world, and this video she had found had led her to make some beliefs and I think some judgments about what we were doing, and it just wasn't true. And I don't really know why Art was there. He just kept writing notes. I'm not really sure what that was about, but.
Okay.
So I'm gonna move hold on, I'm gonna move to strike the answer is not responsive to the question.
Oh, sorry, did I not answer?
No, the judge, you're fine, Abby. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
doing my job, now let the judge do his job.
I think it was broad. Was there anything else about the meeting that stood out? Wasn't that the gist of the question?
That was it, Your Honor.
I'm overruled. I'm gonna overrule motion to strike the answer.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So you said you mentioned you didn't know why Art Binhack was there. Did he have students at the school?
No.
So it was just you and Gwen Keller, Art Binhack, and then somebody else, another staff member. You said, right?
Yeah, our school counselor,
Okay.
because she was the one that taught it.
Okay. And you were the curriculum director, I guess, right?
That wasn't my title. I was the coordinator of student learning,
Oh, okay.
but I
Yeah.
helped oversee curriculum. Yes.
Okay. And you expressed that you were looking for something that Gwen thought was in that curriculum and couldn't find it, and she expressed frustration. Did I summarize that correctly?
Objection, that's leading, you're summarizing
No,
the witness's testimony.
Okay. So do you recall? I'm going to change the question. Do you recall what it was that Ms. Keller was looking for in the SEL program that she couldn't find?
Yes, specifically, one of the named items was that the curriculum itself had a link to an outside website that kids could access via the curriculum, and that outside website had I haven't been on the website in however many years now. It was around, like, basically about relationships, like teen relationships website. The resources she shared with me, I was able to go to the link, but we did not find that link in the curriculum. So I was able to see the link, but the link did not exist, at least in the curriculum that we were looking at the time.
Do you think that Ms. Keller had an anti-LGBTQ bias?
Objection that clearly calls for speculation. She can't testify to what other people think or believe. Wholly improper.
I can withdraw that question. Do you have any reasons to think that Ms. Keller had an anti-LGBTQ bias?
Again, a same objection. It calls for speculation. She can testify to conversations, what was discussed, what she saw, what she heard. She is a fact witness.
I believe that's what I meant by reasons, Your Honor.
I'd like a ruling on my objection, please.
I'm going to overrule it. That it would be anything that would lead you, anything that you knew or that happened that would lead you to draw that conclusion.
So I can answer that?
Answer yes.
Okay. Sorry. Don't overstep here. I would say that when we went, because we did look at that website also, that it was clear that she had a very specific perspective about how relationships and things should be presented, and that I would say she was looking for things that didn't align with her view or perspective, whether that be regarding gender or sexuality or just morality, how she perceives morality in general. Because the website itself, you could tell it was towards like a greater audience of teens, not middle schoolers. Like I could see how, it might be geared towards like 17-year-olds or whatever. And again, it wasn't part of our curriculum. So I understand that as a parent, you might not think something's appropriate for your 12 or 13-year-old. And we were looking at that. But as we were navigating that website, it was pretty clear that she was uncomfortable with some of the information that was presented on there. But again, that wasn't our curriculum. So
Loose answer goes solely to the link that she had found, but that was not part of the curriculum. Is that correct?
for the link, yes.
All right. And so as you're a school administrator still, correct?
Correct.
And as an administrator, are you familiar with administrator evaluations?
Yeah.
And can you give me a brief description of how administrator evaluations are typically conducted?
Do you mean like? Oh,
I think Abby's about to ask you to qualify. Are you talking about her evaluating staff or her being evaluated? I think you can fix this, Wes.
Yeah, about administrators being evaluated. Exactly.
okay. So like myself as being okay. Yeah. So well, all staff are evaluated in school systems. That's state law. And specifically, whatever district you work in, your district approves like an evaluation system. So you do have local control over the professional model that's used for evaluation. So for example, when I was employed at Raymond, the model that we used for evaluation was called the STRONG model. It was out of the CISA 6 network. And so that model has a framework, and the framework evaluates different staff in different roles. So like an administrator based on the Wisconsin administrator standards. So there are standards that guide not just student instruction, but guide professionalism. So like there's teaching standards, there's school counselor standards, there's principal standards, curriculum standards, things like that. And so when you're evaluated, your evaluation is organized in that model around the standards, but the I guess like more focus of an evaluation typically is grounded in as a professional every year it's an expectation that you set goals. So it's typical you have like an SLO, which is a student learning objective, and then like it's called a EPG, professional practice goal or learning goal. And so when I'm evaluated, the evaluation is comprehensive around the administrative standards, but then tailored often to the work that I'm doing and how is that helping to achieve either the student learning goal or the professional practice goal. And so those, so like goal setting takes place at the beginning of the year, typically depending on review cycles, you'd have anywhere from, like in the strong model, maybe anywhere from say 3 at least to if you were in a summer year, you might have more like 6, 10. They're shorter observation cycles with, now other models do kind of like longer observations, and typically you receive, if it's like a shorter, what we would call like a walk through or drive by sort of you, or impromptu, those aren't things you pre-schedule, but you usually expect, and if it's a longer observation of some sort, there's usually a pre-meeting. You would talk about like your goals in the context of what is planning to be observed, and then you would be observed, and then somebody would come back and meet you regarding what they observed, how it fit within a comprehensive model of like an administrative standard, and then as it pertains to your specific goal, student learning and growth. And as an administrator, because we're not always just like teaching a class per se, you get observed in things like how you helped in a meeting, or if you plan some professional development, or the way that you manage staff or something to that effect. It would all tie back to what your administrative standards are, and the professional goals.
And the agreement with the C6 approves evaluations. And
yeah, the strong model was our model that was approved.
okay, that's correct.
Yes.
Okay, and with that process you described multiple observations as a part.
Yeah.
So is that beginning of the year?
Should be happening throughout the entire year. Yes.
Okay, so it's a lengthy project, right?
Yeah, it's very involved. I mean, as an administrator who has to review other people, and it's a little time consuming.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all the questions I have for you, Ms. Ramon.
Okay.
Everybody
So
who's
Mom, nothing's
watching,
really
I'm
looking
trying
sneaky
very
fancy
hard
me,
to
okay?
get some things
Yes,
set
right.
up. They did
I'm
not
gonna
let
be
Ben
really
in.
quick, I think. I want to understand when you were at Raymond, what your job was, who you worked with. That's my first area. When did you commence employment at the Raymond School District?
It was, hold on, I was pregnant with my son. Let me do some math. 2015 was the
take your
start.
time.
2015, the 2015-16 school year was my first year.
What was your position during that first school year?
That first school year, I was hired as, my title was RTI coordinator. I was hired as a reading specialist. And it was K-8 RTI. So all curriculum, just specific to student supports and things.
How long did you hold that position?
Let me think. Let me do some math. I think it was 3 maybe years.
What was your position after that point, after those 3 or so years?
That's when it expanded to coordinator student learning.
And did you hold the coordinator of student learning position
I resigned at the end of July. So
Okay.
in my resignation letter, I stated as of this date, I was resigning from my position. So technically the contract I had, but it was it would have rolled over, if that makes sense. So
Can we then agree that you resigned your employment with the Raymond School District sometime in July of 2023?
yeah,
All right. And then the meeting you had with Art Binhack and Gwen Keller, if possible, could you think back and tell us when that happened? I'd even take a season and a calendar year.
yeah, I know it was the beginning of the year. I vividly remember because the building's really hot. And the location.
Hold tight.
Oh, okay.
When you say beginning of the year, we're all, except for the judge.
School
in the
years. Like September, probably. I would say no later than maybe the first week of October. It was pretty early on with students.
What year?
Oh, that would be, okay, so I left in 23, I think 21.
At the,
No, 21 or 22.
at the time of the meeting with Gwen Keller, a school board member, or was she just a citizen / parent?
She was the school board member. I'm
Okay,
fairly certain.
that's full. Okay. And if I heard you earlier, Ms. Keller had arranged to meet with you to go through the SEL curriculum, is that correct?
Yeah.
And she was concerned because she stated to you that she was concerned because she had seen something on a link that caused her concern, right?
Yeah, the video. She sent me the video.
Okay. And the entirety of your conversation with her and Art related to the district's SEL curriculum, right?
No, because we also viewed like that website that wasn't part of the curriculum.
Okay. Could we agree that your conversation involved curriculum in general, whether district
Yeah,
approved
yeah.
or, okay.
Yeah.
You were not talking with her at all about any employment related matters, correct?
No.
Right, and then just a couple more questions. Let me just quick look at my notes here, Abby, one moment. As an administrator in Raymond from about 2019 to July of 2023, did you have responsibility to evaluate staff?
Yeah.
Who was your direct supervisor? And you don't have to give me a name, just the title of the person who was your direct supervisor.
Superintendent.
Okay. So the superintendent would supervise you, is that correct?
They were the people who had previously given me evaluations. Yeah.
Okay. And then you would supervise, again, I don't need names, but what staff would you evaluate?
I supervised and evaluated teaching staff and paraprofessional staff. So not like office staff, but like instructional assistants and things that supported learning with students.
And so did you do teacher evaluations?
Yeah,
When Jeff,
I did both.
okay. When Jeff Peterson was a principal, did he do teacher evaluations?
Yeah. I always
How-
did,
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in my role, I was always responsible for all the paras and then the staff that were on year 1 and 2 of the eval cycle, and then the principal, so Jeff or whoever else was principal, always did the summer year 1, which is just the group 3 or year 3. We call them like group 1, 2, 3.
All right, I'm just gonna flesh that out a little bit so the judge knows what we're talking about. You were
Sure.
responsible for paraprofessional staff, which is non-certified staff who assist in classrooms, among other things, right?
Correct.
And then it sounds like you evaluated staff who were in year 1 and 2, strike that. You evaluated teaching staff who were in year 1 and year 2 of a 3-year teaching cycle. Do I have that right?
Correct.
And then Jeff Peterson, when he was the principal, was responsible for evaluating certified staff who were in their third year of a 3-year cycle. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Very good. You were, one moment. Were you ever present when Jeff Peterson and Mike Garvey got into what you may consider to be a heated conversation or a heated discussion?
Like an argument or something? No.
Yeah, maybe voices elevated, things like that.
No.
Okay.
Not that I remember.
Who replaced you, if you know, at the Raymond School District?
Oh, I feel bad because I'm not remembering her name right now, but I actually like had some contact with her when she started to help her learn the ropes, you know. I'm so sorry. I don't remember her name off the top of my head. I believe she's still there.
Did you tell the employee who replaced you that she needed to make sure she did not do the work of other administrators?
Yeah.
Did you feel while you were a district administrator at Raymond and during the time that Mr. Peterson worked there, did you feel at times that you were doing Mr. Peterson's work?
Yeah, I don't know. That's hard to say because those lines were never clearly delineated. And that was historically my experience in my role when I worked with Mr. Smith, the previous principal, and when the two other principals were job sharing. And I think that was a byproduct of the shift in the administrative structure without any clear oversight or guidance on the board's part.
I think I'm done, Abby. Give me 1 minute. Going back to the meeting with Ms. Keller and Art Benhack, at the conclusion of that, did it appear to you that Ms. Keller was satisfied that whatever link she thought may have been in the district's curriculum was not there?
I'm not sure. I don't feel
That's fine. No, you don't have to. You've answered my question. Thank you. Do you believe that parents of students in the Raymond School District have a right to review curriculum taught to their children, to the students at Raymond, to assure that it aligns with their personal beliefs?
Well, all parents have a right to review all curriculum. That's universal.
Okay, Ms. Ramon, those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have a couple of follow-up questions, not a lot, I guess. So the SEL curriculum review that you were just talking about with Ms. Levinsky there. Were you asked to give a presentation to the school at a school board meeting about the SEL curriculum?
Yes, I believe that may have been after. I know that was in the spring because it was baseball season.
Okay, and can you tell me a little bit about that presentation?
So actually, I wasn't necessarily asked. At first, the school counselor was asked, and she was uncomfortable with the situation, which was fine. Public speaking wasn't something she was comfortable with. So I said, well, I can put something together, and then we just kind of collaborated a little bit to make sure that I was accurately representing things, because she lived in it more than I did, right? So I didn't want to misspeak because she lived in it more than I did. But so I did at one point have to give a presentation that gave an overview of, I kind of just grounded it in what is social emotional learning, and why we teach social emotional learning. I mean, there are standards, but also we're dealing with children who are learning and growing, and not all learning is academic. And then reviewed the kind of like high level overview design of the curriculum and what it looked like. Because obviously when you have a 4K through 8th grade building, things look very different in a classroom for 4-year-olds and 8th graders. And reviewed just how it was structured in the delivery and overview of the sort of unit. They're not called units, but like unit topics at each level.
Okay. And do you remember any questions or accusations from the public during that presentation?
Yeah, I mean, I believe several people. Kind of one unique thing at Raymond, which always made me really uncomfortable, is that the audience was allowed to openly engage in the board meetings, which is a violation of how meetings are statutorily supposed to be run. And
Your Honor, hold on. I need to move to strike that this witness's lay opinion that the meeting is supposed to be statutorily, lay just means fact.
Okay, I thought you were
it means
implying I was lay.
No, I'm sorry. Let me restate.
Ms. Ramon, I know you're engaged in this process, but when the council is speaking and making objection, you can't talk. It's just a part of the hearing process. That's okay.
I would move to strike the testimony that something the board has done or is doing violates state statute. That is a legal conclusion that is not appropriate for a fact witness.
Any objections to that? Any response to that, rather, Attorney Haslam?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm inclined to agree. I think I'm not going to base any of my decision on a legal conclusion. This is a fact-finding hearing.
I don't have any problem with striking that comment, and I'll be more specific. Do you remember? I guess I just want to get back to where we were before that, because we got a little off track. So I asked about community comments during that, and you were telling a story, and you included a part about the legal, about the violated meetings, but were you gonna move on to another part of that didn't involve that?
So
okay.
I guess I was gonna say, I do remember that there was a lot of audience engagement, and again, it's a weird situation because technically I'm not supposed to address people, but yet they're addressing me and things like that. There was a particular exchange, I know, where a parent had shared that their child had told them something about what was happening in a classroom and what was being taught in the curriculum, and I knew that information to be false. I also knew that the child of that parent's child wasn't even in the grade level that they were referring to, so I'm not sure how they arrived at that information. And it was very frustrating because it was evident that the parent believed, their child, which is fine. However, wasn't open to the possibility that maybe their child wasn't purposely saying something that wasn't true, but maybe their child was misinterpreting information they heard from other students who were in a class, because that child wasn't in that class. So that was very frustrating because we were missing the point of the entire presentation.
Do you remember what the information or the concern was that parent was talking about?
Yeah, that parent was upset and concerned that we were teaching about being transgender.
Okay, and that's not something you were teaching, right?
No.
Okay, and was that parent named Keith Kenson?
Castenson, yes. He was village president at the time, I think, or on the board or something.
Okay. And you also said, Ms. Lipinski asked you a question about whether Ms. Keller was satisfied with you after the meeting about the SEL curriculum. And you said you weren't sure. And it seems like you wanted to add something to that. Do you want to tell us what you wanted to add? Do you recall that question?
Sure. Yeah. I guess the reason I wasn't sure is because she wanted to have another meeting to continue to look at materials and look at the younger grade materials, which was fine. I mean, it's just her initial concern that brought the meeting to the table had been addressed, so I wasn't sure what the purpose was, and she didn't have children in those grades. Again, not that I'm trying to hide anything, but these things are time consuming. So, out of respect for time, it was okay, well, I feel like we landed in a good place, but now I feel like we haven't, and we're going to continue to look for something, but I'm not even sure what we're looking for or why we're looking for something.
Okay, I understand. And last question for you. Did Dr. Garvey ever do an evaluation of you?
On me? not that I recall. No, I don't think so, unless there's a document somewhere. I'm not trying to lie. I'm just saying I don't remember. I don't think so.
Okay,
But
that's
maybe
it.
he did and it exists. I don't know.
Thank you. That's all I have.
I have two follow-up questions. Two follow-up areas. When did you announce or provide the district with notice that you were going to resign from Raymond School District?
It's the end of July.
So it was a pretty quick turnaround from your notice to the actual last day of your employment.
Well, yeah, because I had already started a new contract here and I wasn't going to fulfill that contract. So then
I'm not being judgmental. I truly just want to know how much
Oh.
notice you gave them. A couple weeks?
no, that's not typical. No.
Okay, I'm confused. I apologize.
So when in any role, this is different than like regular, I would say non-education employment. When you resign, you're done. Like my contract was done.
no, I understand. I'll take
Oh.
responsibility for this. When did you let the school know that you would be resigning from Raymond?
At the end of July.
Okay. And then your date of resignation was a week or two later or days later? You tell us.
No, it was at the point when I gave my resignation.
Okay. You resigned kind of effective immediately.
Right. That's how
That's
that works. Yeah.
And is your testimony, you don't know one way or the other whether Mr. Garvey evaluated your performance? Is that what you said?
I guess my testimony is I don't think he did.
Okay.
I would say I am 90% certain.
Okay, that's fine. Were you evaluated by the prior, strike that, you worked, before Mr. Garvey started, you worked under a different superintendent, right?
Correct.
Who was that?
There were a few. Steve Carter was the most previous one.
So we'll just do with Steve Harder, because he was the superintendent immediately prior to Mr. Garvey, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did he evaluate your performance in a written format?
Yeah, I actually do remember that because the computer system that we used for evaluations was a little nuanced and he had trouble getting in. So I do remember assisting him.
Last question on that topic. When was your last evaluation that he, Mr. Harder, conducted?
I'm trying to think. He left. I mean, the evaluations, like timelines, they at the end of the school year, not like a calendar year. So it would have been, he left in the summer, probably May, June-ish of that year.
Of the year he left?
Yeah.
All right, very good. And then this one's going to be an easy one, what I call a softball, Abby. You referenced a Keith Castenson, I may be botching that, a citizen who made a comment at a board meeting. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes.
Okay. You talked about a board member, and I want to be clear. Was Mr. Castenson a school board member when he made that comment?
No.
What board was he a member of?
I think he was on the village board at the time, the village of Raymond.
Did he hold a title on the village board?
I think he did. I didn't live in Raymond, so I'm not 100% certain. I would have never seen it on like the ballot or anything, but I think he was president.
Those are all the questions I have, Ms. Ramon. Thank you.
And I have nothing else. Thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Ramon. I appreciate it. You're excused from the hot seat.
Thanks.
I'm going to have to figure out how to do this better.
I have my
I'm going to try to get the deliberate indifference flow in. The deliberate indifference flow in.
Oh, it's Leah, L-E-E.
Because this is less than ideal.
Glasheen is her second name, G-L-A.
personally am in, but deliberate indifference is not in. They did not let him in despite being in the queue at 9:25 and even prior. Ugh. I'm gonna have to cut this in order to try to problem solve this.